So good day to everyone watching this, um, um, presumably after the opening of the European Film Festival in South Africa. My name is Tiny Mungwe. I'm a filmmaker from South Africa, and it is my privilege to have a conversation with Mo Kardofani, who is the director of Goodbye Julia, and the opening night film of the European Film Festival. Hello, Mo. Congratulations on your wonderful film and welcome.
Thank you, Tiny. Such a pleasure to be here speaking to you and to the audience, I guess, of the film in South Africa.
I think there are a lot of things that are striking about your film. It's really exciting to see this kind of renaissance of cinema from Sudan, and I mean both Sudans, over the last couple of years. So it's really quite interesting to have your film kind of enter into this pantheon. But what I also found very striking about your film is that you focus on a period of time that's bookended by two very big, I think, events in the history of Sudan, both Sudan. One, the death of John Garang, and the other one, the kind of monumental referendum that kind of decided the fate of the two countries and gave us our 54th country. So was just curious also, given that you made this film during a time of another period of great upheaval in Sudan, firstly, what it was like reflecting on this history at the time that you were making the film, and how you feel the film has been able to help the world, but also Sudan, to reflect on its history, and how you use this film to be a tool for that purpose.
Yes, I have witnessed this. I'm not very young, so in 2005, I was already a grown-up and working when Dr. John Garang was killed. And then again, I also witnessed the separation and the referendum and the voting and all the process of what happened. And back then I wasn't a filmmaker, I was just an airplane engineer. But it struck me when I realized that when I heard the news that the referendum voting count was 99% pro-separation. This was such a shocking news. I mean, we could see it coming, that the South will secede, but not with such a shocking majority. And the other shocking factor, I guess, was the way that the Sudanese people reacted to this. I mean, by Sudanese, I mean the North back then, reacted to the news, because it just felt like people were a little bit indifferent, and there wasn't any kind of mourning to this news. And I think a big part of it was the fact that we haven't attempted any reconciliation between the people, and everything just remained on the higher level of I mean, talking and negotiation and things. But on a societal level, there was no any reconciliation. So when I decided to make the film years later, it happened because I felt like I was actually guilty. I shouldn't have been indifferent to what's happening. This segregation of community is partly done by us, the people, and the racism that is happening is, even if you're not yourself racist in the North, somehow you are you're blessing this behavior by just being passive to it. So yeah, this was basically the motivation for me to, especially when the revolution in 2009 happened in Sudan that toppled the dictator Omar al-Bashir, it has become more and more important that we're starting a new page. Back then, that's what we thought, and I still think it's the case. We started a new, even with the war right now. So it felt like we really need to talk about things like that, and we need to change as people. And my intention is that to reconcile whatever left of Sudan and hopefully create a new identity, national identity that is proud of things other than race, religion, sex. These are things that just separate people. It's not really things that bring people together. I think you're muted.
When you mentioned that you were old enough to be politically aware during the death of Dr. Garang Dimabio, and also that you've lived another life before filmmaking, I started feeling like I should have actually invited you to tell us a little bit about yourself first. So I would really like you to maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know this is your first feature film, which is one being invited to screen and won an award at Cannes, and then following by kind of a whirlwind success that you're in the middle of right now. So yeah, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your filmmaking. And yeah, I think that would be really interesting for people to understand.
Yeah, I've always knew that I have some inclination to art in some way. And when I finished my high school, I wanted to study fine arts. But I wasn't like a cinephile. I watched films just like anybody else. But I've written a lot. I used to write things for me and my friends and people around me. And then I couldn't do fine arts because my father thought it's a bad idea and it will never make any money. And he's right, in Sudan at least. So I studied aircraft engineering because he was a captain and he also was in the business of aviation. So that it just made sense. But I kept on writing, and in 2007, I picked up a hobby for photography, and I really enjoyed it. And then I got a job as an aircraft engineer in Bahrain with Gulf Air, and I flew to Bahrain, and there I started doing this video editing for family events like birthdays and stuff, and I enjoyed it. And it struck me that I maybe can transform my stories that I wrote into films, and then more people may watch it. Like I can find more audience than readers. So that's when I thought about filmmaking, but I didn't know anything about directing actors or camera movement, because in photography, camera don't move. So I took this small online course while I was still fixing airplanes. It was just like a few months course. It goes into each department of filmmaking. So screenwriting, directing, sound, and cinematography. And at the end of it, we were supposed to submit a scene with just 2 actors in one location. And I didn't know many people in Bahrain, so I flew back to Sudan because I had a bigger network. But I found that I would have to go through a lot of logistics, to cast and scout locations and get catering. And so I thought might as well just make it a short film instead of a scene. And that's when I did my first short film. And to my surprise, I made an ad for the film online that I will screen it in a cultural center, hoping people will come. And so many people came because back then, this was in 2014, I think. Back then, the idea of somebody making a film is not very common in Sudan. So, and I actually made a good looking trailer. It was way better than the film itself. The film was not as good. So a lot of people came, and I was so happy to see so many people coming to watch my film. And I loved it. And right after I finished that screening, I started preparing for the next one because I had the story already written. And that was Nirkouk, which got picked up by Qartaj in Tunis, and it won the NAS award. It's for best short film, best Arabic short film. And yeah, that's how it started. In 2018, I started writing Goodbye Julia, and I knew I couldn't do both jobs at the same time. Trying to fix airplanes and making a feature film was not possible. So I quit aviation, went back to Sudan. I started a small production house, and there you go.
Congratulations on the success of Goodbye Julia, particularly, and then also on your very interesting journey. I think your writing skills definitely come through in the kind of screenwriting on Goodbye Julia. I think you use like the image and theme of like the veil of shame, respectability quite a lot in the film, and also the way you contrast these two dominant religions of the old Sudan so prominently. The film is really excellently like written, and I'm just wondering, what was your process of writing the film? Did you participate in any labs? Did you have any people who were kind of creative collaborators you were working with? Yeah, what was your process for the writing of the film?
Yes, actually, the film has developed a lot. The shooting draft was draft 10. And each time I write a whole new draft, like I don't just make edits and call it a new draft. So it has gone through a lot of development. And also the producer, Amjad Abu Layla, was more of a creative producer. We always discuss the script, and also the editor, who is a dear friend of mine, Hiba Osman. Her contribution to the script is actually as important to the film as her contribution as an editor. So a lot of people has helped me in this journey. I think the first draft was really bad. When I look at it now, I get my eyes just hurt. I don't know how I was like so confident to send it to festivals. And so I think development is really important, and writing is rewriting. But the process is in a way very personal, because all these characters are me in different stages of my life, and that's why it was I think, I don't want to say easy, but it felt fluid, and I felt like I know all the characters. It was interesting for me to put myself now and 10 years ago and 20 years ago in the same room and have them have a debate in a way.
That's very interesting. I think you tackle a lot of difficult or a finite set of difficult themes like oppression, racism, patriarchy, and you are able to also bring so much levity and optimism into the screen in the same film. Like you're making comment on political like themes and topics, but also it's such a deeply personal film. So I'm just wondering how you tackled the task of controlling these contrasting themes in the narrative. I also found it very interesting and exciting that you had Pierre de Villiers, who's a South African DOP, also shooting with you. So I'm just, interested in how you are working with your actors to kind of hold that space and make those themes come out for you, and how the process of shooting went also with Pierre.
With the actors, I think how I work is that I make sure that the actors really understand their characters and why they're doing what they're doing. And I don't work with actors together. I prefer to work with each actor independently and kind of like do this bad cop, good cop thing. And it really matters to me that each actor understands that they are absolutely right in what they're doing, and that the other party is the one doing the wrongdoing. So that's how I work with actors, and I think it was important for this project because for me, I didn't want to take sides because I thought that this is important for reconciliation. That I stand from in the same distance from all the characters and understand why they're doing what they're doing, even if they show or do bad deeds, even if there is patriarchy or racism or unclarity or lies, or it's still important that the actor and the audience understand where they're coming from. So it was an interesting journey with the actors. Most of them are the two lead actresses are. This is their first time on the screen, and I think that really helped with for this project at least because I needed some level of purity, and I needed them to come fresh to this project. Nazar, who did Akram role, has done a few. It's also his first cinema appearance, but he's done some roles in TV drama. And Gerdwani has done many films in Hollywood. So, but the obstacle with Ger is that he didn't speak Arabic, so we had to work on that before. In terms of cinematography, I loved working with Pierre. I think Pierre is great, not only as an artist, as a human. He has such wonderful communication skills, and he's so human. I'm actually jealous of his communication skills. I always tell him that. But artistically as well, the way he was able to bring this subtlety and using the landscape and the tones of Sudan to which is very difficult to use these earthy tones, the dusty place, and make it look appealing and make it look magical. I think it's a wonderful experience to work with Pierre.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't have any other question actually. So I'd like to say thank you so much for this wonderful gift of cinema that you've given us. Thank you for opening the world, especially people from my country who are going to be enjoying the European Film Festival, into the history of your country. It gives us an opportunity to also reflect on the history of our own country. I want to wish you all the best in terms of your filmmaking and your storytelling and your life in cinema. And yeah, thank you for the privilege of being able to meet you.
Thank you, Tiny, and thanks to the festival for giving us the opportunity to show the film to South African audiences, and hopefully maybe in the next edition I can join the festival and visit South Africa. Thank you very much.